Good to go, Scott.
Thank you, Chief Brickville. Well, good evening, everybody, and it's really great to see you all out there. I've got great reports on this class from Chief Brickville. I know he does a really great job getting you set up and ready for the workload you're going to get when you come to EMT. And I presume most all of you are going to come to EMT. Maybe if you can, in the you go down to your reactions buttons and hit the thumbs up button if you're planning to come to EMT after you finish 121. See how many thumbs we have there. You guys know how to do the thumbs up and the reactions down on the bottom of your toolbar?
Well, Greg knows how to do it. Tony
saw a couple. Good.
I actually won't be able to, only because I'm not on Zoom, but I'm in a class in Zoom, so I had to call in with my phone. So I apologize. So I could only call in because I'm using my Zoom because I'm in a finance class.
Well, we're super happy that you made it. So thanks for coming. And so everything that I'm going to discuss tonight, Chief Brickville's got on a recording. And then also I'm going to put my contact information in the chat there for you as well. So if you want to write these things down, you can do that. And then one last thing I'll do before I'm getting started is I'm going to put the file of the PowerPoint that I'm going through tonight so that you can all access that. And I think Chief Brickville is going to also broadcast that on an announcement. So, but if the things that you see coming through the chat tonight, you can write them down in this file. What's cool about the file I'm going to put in chat here is you can open it up on your computer desktop, and then you can save it. And that way you'll have it, because what I'm going to go through tonight, you're going to want to refer back to before you take EMT, because I have a lot of good details in here. So this PowerPoint's called FTech 121 Transition to EMT. And I just updated it back towards the end of last year. So it's all still relevant. I know it says updated 2020, but there's not been any changes. So it's the most current. So you should see that in the chat. All right. So is everybody able to see the PowerPoint that I have up? It says transition to EMT. Outstanding. All right. Saw a couple of heads shake. All right. So again, my name's Scott Jaggy, and I'm the EMT program director, and I'm the clinical coordinator also for our program. And I do teach fire technology here as well at Rio Hondo, but really my primary function is to take care of you all when you come from EMR to 121. And again, there's my email address for you one more time if you need that. So what we're going to talk about tonight is all the things you need to know before you register for EMT. So some of the important points that I'm going to cover tonight. One is the class that you're currently in, FTech 121. You've got to pass this successfully with a B or better grade. In fact, your grading structure is probably set up so that those are the only two grades you can get to pass it. The other thing that you must pass to get into EMT, and you'll get the information for all of these things in a pre-class task book before you take the class, is we'll have you take a 10-panel drug test, and then you need to have a clean criminal background. You can't have anything in your background that would keep you from becoming certified as an EMT right now. And then the last important point is this class costs quite a bit of money, so we want to let you know early so you can start to plan ahead, especially if you don't have financial aid. To take the course between tuition and books and all the other equipment you need, it's about $1,400. So it's a heavy lift financially, but the great part about it is you can recoup your costs immediately after the class when you pass your national registry and you get certified by the state, because you can go to work right away. And we have job placement for you with several ambulance companies in the region. So that is one of the benefits to this particular class. You can go to work if you choose to when you're done. And if you have any questions out there, if you could, since I can't see you when I'm in this PowerPoint too easy because everybody's small little squares, if you can maybe type in a question into the chat and I'll see a little bubble come up, or if Chief Breakbill's there and he can see anybody raising hands or see any messages in the chat, he'll let me know. So I don't like to go too fast and cut anybody off on a question when we're on a specific slide. So the cost of becoming an EMT, and when you get this in your slide presentation and you blow it up, here's a breakdown of the cost like I mentioned earlier. So to get in and out of EMT successfully, it's just under $14. And then I have it broken down into a second section on the sheet where it says costs to become certified after you complete EMT, because there are additional costs with your national registry testing and live scan fingerprints, and then the cost to get certified through the state. That's about another $350. So all total, you're up just over $1,700. And I can tell you this, unfortunately, nothing has gotten cheaper each year. It just seems like things get more expensive. Uniforms go up, equipment costs go up, and so does tuition and books and certification. So I apologize for that. I wish there was more I could do to save you money, but I will let you know we're constantly evaluating things that maybe aren't completely necessary if they exist in the class, and we try to cut out things where we can. In fact, we're not reevaluating, but we're evaluating which level of the textbook we're going to use beginning with fall of this year, because the publisher has put out a new textbook, edition 12. We're currently using edition 11. And we're looking at the Navigate platform that we're using. And if we can lower the level from Premier to possibly Advantage, we can save students money there. So we're looking at everything, and I constantly look at things. So just know that there's nothing in here that's filler. Welcome aboard to whoever just joined us. So you're going to learn about Castle Branch when you get your pre-class test book when you are registered for EMT. And that's a company that packages together document tracking, your background check, and drug screening. So those three things are packaged together for one expense, which is $91. That includes you going to the specific lab specified by Castle Branch and providing your urine specimen for the drug test, for which they send us the results directly. They also do your background check, which is a local, state, and federal background check. And then the document tracking process is there for you, so that all the required documents that you have to provide to me. The great part is you never provide me one piece of paper. You upload scanned documents and PDF documents, and even photographs if they're good and clear with good lighting. You can upload those 3 different ways into your Castle Branch account, and then they get approved by Castle Branch reviewers, or as the program director, I have the ability to go in and approve documents as well. So that's really saved us all a lot of effort and time, because we used to have to take people's documents on paper and it got quite cumbersome. So, and this is more secure too, because your medical forms and your vaccination forms with your names on them and sensitive information is uploaded into a protected, encrypted server. So they're not, they're not sitting around somewhere and where somebody can, get to them. So as I mentioned, you'll upload all your required documentation into your Castle Branch account. Each one of you will have your own. So I'm going to go through each requirement to get into EMT. And right now the number is called EMT 093, and it's going to remain that way for the foreseeable future. You're going to have a medical physical, either from your own doctor or an urgent care, or we have some low-cost medical clinics in the pre-class test book that we provide their names, phone numbers, and locations to. You'll have to submit to your DOJ criminal background check. That's done through Castle Branch, and your initial drug testing. And then we'll also have you sign an agreement between you and us about random drug testing. And the reason why we have you sign that is because only if a complaint comes in about an EMT trainee that they seem as if they're acting like they're under the influence of a drug, would we ask you to take a random drug test. We cannot force you to take it, but the agreement that you'll sign in the beginning of class isn't signing that we can force you, but you're signing that you understand that if we requested one of you because of a complaint, that if you refuse to take one, which is your right, then we would remove you from the program. So we haven't had to do a random drug test in many years. So I don't expect it, hopefully, to start popping up again. So we've got a lot of good quality students that like yourselves that are squared away and you're looking to progress into a career that you have to prepare for, and you're putting a lot of time, money, and effort into it. So I think that's probably why we're seeing more people that are more serious about the profession. You'll also need to come into EMT with a valid American Heart Association BLS CPR card. And the good news is part of this 121 class that you're in with Chief Breakbill is you're going to be taking an online course, and then he's going to bring you in for a skills and a skills testing day. And as long as you complete those things, requirements for him successfully, then you'll be issued a BLS e-card, an electronic CPR card. You'll also have to buy a malpractice insurance policy. That's required by our clinical partners, the hospitals particularly, that we will send you to. And the good news is I can report to this class. This is the first class I've been able to report this to in the last year because of COVID. So our hospital partner, Methodist Hospital of Southern California, located in Arcadia, they just approved EMT trainees and RN students to come back to their emergency department. So that's really great news. So by the time you all get into EMT, you're going to have the opportunity, hopefully, to get scheduled for at least one shift if there's room at one of our hospital partners. So that's good news, because we've been using ambulance companies exclusively for the last year, but which is great. But it's nice to also give students, especially students that are heading maybe in a healthcare profession direction, like nursing or PA or certified nursing assistant, different types of healthcare jobs. Sometimes those students would prefer to get some exposure to the hospital emergency room. Uniforms and equipment. You'll have to buy a specific uniform pant and shirt at our supplier in Santa Fe Springs and other EMS equipment. And then you'll have to take some free online courses prior to EMT, ICS 100, 200, and 700. So the first thing I'll go into detail on is the medical exam. So again, you'll be required to have a medical exam completed by a qualified medical professional to get into EMT 093. In your pre-class test book, we'll provide you with a health questionnaire, and you have the choice. Again, if you have your own doctor, more than welcome to go there. If your insurance dictates you go a certain place, that's up to you. We don't make you go to any particular place. We just talk about the different options that are available to you. Like I said earlier, the low or no cost medical clinic will provide you information for that, or you can go to different urgent cares. Again, if you have insurance, check with your insurances and see where you're supposed to go for these types of things. It's a basic physical. It's the same type of physical that's required to get into the fire academy, or similar to what's required to play sports on campus. So. The vaccination verification. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about this because it's really important. It's always been important, but it's We've had a real heightened awareness with vaccines, of course, in the last year with the COVID-19 virus. So going into a healthcare profession or the fire department, because they're one and the same in the respect that you're going to be working on sick people, right? With viruses and different illnesses, known and unknown. It's very important that you're properly vaccinated in this profession because your life depends on it. So mumps, measles, rubella, also abbreviated as MMR. That's a multiple shot series. Tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis, also known as Tdap. That's a one-shot vaccine that needs to be done every 10 years. So you'll need to pay attention to the dates when you got your last Tdap. And if it's more than 10 years, then you're going to have to get that booster shot, get a new one. Hepatitis B is a 3-shot series. And if you don't have it before you start class, as long as you get the first one of the 3, you can take EMT, because you can't rush those shots. If I was to take one today, my first one, I would have to wait 30 days to get my number 2 shot. And then I would have to wait another 5 months, right? So it's a total of 6 months it takes to get all 3. So first month and 6th month, right after your first shot. Varicella, which is also known as chickenpox, that's a 2-shot series. Again, if you didn't have that at all, you could at least get your first shot and qualify to get into the class and take the class. And then the influenza. So every year, the CDC comes up with what they call the influenza vaccine. So it's separate, has nothing to do with the COVID-19 vaccine. That's a standalone vaccine. But the annual influenza vaccine has a year on it. So all of our students that have taken EMT in the fall and the spring semesters, and even the ones that are going to start in the summer, have to have the 2020/21 influenza vaccine. So they usually come out August 1st each year. So if you're going to come to EMT in the summer, you need to have the 2020/21, and it's still available at pharmacies. So if you are coming to summer EMT, make sure that you're looking at these things right away. You don't want to wait, because we're already on the downhill run of a 16-week semester, right? We're already in week 10 of 16. So there's these last, 6 weeks of school is going to go really fast for all of us. The last thing that you need, well, it's not the last thing, but the next thing you need is a TB exposure skin test, or we are going to start to accept the TB exposure blood test, because that's actually more accurate. But the reason why we've always accepted the skin test is it's more readily available and it's less expensive. But sometimes students have results from the blood test for some reason, and we're willing to take that. If you've ever tested positive for TB exposure, then you can no longer take the skin test. So then we'd ask you to provide a clear, also known as a negative chest x-ray. And your chest x-ray could be dated within the last 4 years. So is there any questions out there right now? I'm going to go to the chat and see what I see. I see one bubble. Okay, so good question, Ismail Hernandez. Will financial aid cover the entire $1,400? I don't have that complete answer, but I believe it will cover quite a bit of it, because the 2 largest expenses of this class are tuition. And right now the class is 8 units. Come fall, it's going to go to 9. So you can add an extra $46 or $48 to tuition. And the textbooks. So financial aid, I know, typically covers those 2 things. I'm not sure if it covers how much else it covers. That would be a better question to ask probably to financial aid on campus, just to be certain. So hopefully my partial answer, I apologize, I don't have the full answer, but I like to make sure that I give you the correct answer. Everything that I know. Any other questions out there?
Chief Jaggy.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Who's
Good
speaking?
question. This is Kevin Lozano.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good, thanks.
Will the COVID vaccine be a requirement too?
The COVID vaccine will not be a requirement.
Oh, okay.
We strongly encourage you to get started on it because we follow the same guidelines of the LA County health officers and health department, as well as the CDC, and everything we've been doing at the college and the fire academy since COVID started has been following the CDC guidelines, 100%. So we strongly encourage it, for your safety, but that's a personal choice, and we're not going to require it. Not that I'm aware of. The only time it might change is if a partner, a clinical partner like ambulance companies or the hospital, were to say, in order for your students to come to our emergency department and do their clinicals or ride on our ambulances, they have to have the COVID vaccine, then we would have to require it because clinicals are part of the class. But currently I have not heard that. I have not heard any discussions of that happening. So to answer your question one more time, we are not requiring it.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions out there? All right, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. So when it comes to vaccines, most of you probably have a kind of a yellow colored card, a thicker card that folds up, like it's a tri-fold card, and it's got like an official seal on the front in black print. And then it's got a whole bunch of probably signatures and dates and stamps on it through the years that you had to use for K through 12 when you went to school before you got into college. So that's what you should find now if you don't know where it is. There are some people that if they have Kaiser insurance, Kaiser has really great records and they're not on the yellow card. They're on, they're digital and they're, on a white piece of paper, and they're laid out slightly different, but they have very good and accurate information. So if you don't know where your vaccination records are, if you have them, I would find out where they are and have them ready long before you get to EMT. If you don't have any vaccines, then what would be important is to start getting those now, and don't wait till you're going to get into EMT. Because if you don't have them done by a certain date, we can't approve you to go to the clinicals, and then you won't be able to complete the class. So we'd have to have you come back to a future class once you completed the vaccines. So to prepare for EMT, whether you're coming in the summer or the fall, start gathering that information now. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I talk about that yellow card? The vaccination record, right? It's a yellow card.
Yeah, I remember it's like when you unfold it, it's like very long, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like about as long as a piece of legal paper. It's probably, maybe it's not as wide as a standard piece of paper. It's a little bit narrower, but it's very long. It's probably like 14 inches long when it unfolds. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the background check. So you will be required to submit to the following background checks by Castle Branch. So when you create your account, it's going to ask you, to check boxes and authorize them to check the following. And then once you do, they're going to check your county, state, and federal criminal history. And if you have anything, it'll pop up. And things do pop up from time to time on people. And then I have to talk to them and work with them on a one-on-one basis. So my recommendation is if you do have something in your background right now, don't blurt it out, of course, or put it in the chat, but please be upfront and honest about it with me so that you and I can work together on finding out what it is, and if it's going to be something that would keep you from becoming certified as an EMT or not. And I can tell you 9 times out of 10, when people get, I get it because I get the drug test results and I get the background reports. And when somebody gets a hit on their background, 9 times out of 10, it has not precluded them from taking the class and becoming an EMT. So I have a specialist over at the EMS agency who I am in contact with when these things come up. He's a certification specialist, and he's the one that goes through everybody's backgrounds when you actually apply to become an EMT, once you pass the class and you pass the national registry. And he steps myself and the students in question through the process as to, are they certifiable or are they not certifiable? So like I said, 9 times out of 10, whatever's in somebody's background, my experience in this program has been, it's been a hurdle that they were able to get over. They were able to take the class and, go to the national registry. And if they've passed the national, they were eligible for certification. Now, I will tell you, I know of at least one of them that the infraction on their record was a DUI, a driving under the influence. So that person was certifiable. But what happened is they started their EMT career on the first 2 years of it on probation with the county. And in order to get certified, they had to go to what's called an addiction medicine doctor to get a psychological evaluation and get signed off. So there is some extra steps you'd have to take if you were convicted. And again, we're, most of the time they're looking at convictions, but they do still look at arrests too. And it depends on what the charge started as and maybe what it was plead down to. Because remember, the county has the ultimate say so as to whether you're going to get certified or not based on your background, if you have anything. So again, I'd rather spend the time talking about this now and making sure you're all aware of it, so that if you have something, you could come to me long before you're registered. And if, long before you do your Castle Branch background and it pops up, because for one, you can find out, A, good, it's not going to negatively impact me, or B, on the odd occasion that it would, then you would know not to take EMT right now. They may say, you know what, your conviction was 4 years ago. You have to sit out for 5 years. So don't take the class for another year. Come back in 1 year. Your record, your 5 years will have timed out, and then you can get in. So that's why it's important for you to come forward to me and do it privately. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. We've all made mistakes in our lives of different types. And if you've made one and you want to get yourself back on track, that's what it's all about. Any questions? I see a couple in the chat. Let me pull that up. First one is from Mr. Garcia. Is a general discharge we can talk about that on the side because I don't know too much about those. So we'll just talk about it on the side. Any other questions, general questions out there?
Thank you, Chief.
I'll just say, Mr. Garcia, in answer to your question, I don't think that's an issue. But we can have a sidebar later, or we can email and set up a Zoom meeting if you'd prefer. Okay, so the drug screening again, it's a 10-panel drug test, so it tests lots of different drugs, everything from marijuana to amphetamines to barbiturates to narcotics and beyond. So you have to complete this test to get into the class because it's a requirement of our clinical partners. They don't want any of our students to come and be on their rigs in terms of the ambulance companies, or the hospitals. You're not allowed to work in the ER if you haven't taken and passed a drug test. So we uphold the same standards because that's the standards of our clinical partners. You'll provide, again, a urine sample while at an approved Castle Branch lab. We do not want you to have anybody else perform the drug test because it won't be valid. The results will not be accepted or valid. So when you go to do your medical physicals, remember your doctor can't do it. Nobody else can do it except for the lab in which Castle Branch sends you to, because they use a special code that creates a chain of custody, meaning the results. So they go straight from Castle Branch. Your sample goes to them. The results come from them to you and myself at the same time. So I know the same things that you know. So there's no secrets, right? You're going to get your results of drug screening. You're going to get your results of your background. And we have you do this within 6 weeks of the first day of class because that's what our clinical partners require. So if you had one, don't go out and take any now because the results, well, for one, you won't have the Castle Branch account set up, but don't take them before you get your pre-class task book and you're registered in the class. And routinely, when I have repeat students come back, they have to take the drug screen again. So it's always within 6 weeks of the first day of class, even for returning students. CPR requirement, the CPR card, you're going to get that in this class with Chief Brakebill. Depending upon when you come to EMT, if you're coming, this year, it's not a problem if you're getting your card right now with Chief Brakebill, because it's going to last for 2 years. Now, there may be some of you out there that have the American Heart Association BLS CPR card, and you show it to Chief Brakebill, and you had it a year ago, and maybe he'll accept that and you won't have to redo the CPR in his class. I'm not sure what his policy is, but if it is like that, you have to watch your own expiration dates because your CPR card cannot expire during the EMT class you're taking. So it has to be valid all the way through the class. And remember, right after class is over, you're going to take the national registry, you'll pass it, and then you're going to apply for certification. The county and the state want to see a card that's going to last for at least 3 months when they certify you. So make sure that you pay close attention to all the assignments that have to do with CPR in this class, because that's something that holds some students up on occasion. Is they took, they either come in without a CPR card that's valid, or they maybe took in this class and they didn't go to skills day. They did part of the work, but they didn't all the work, and they didn't get their card. So then they're scrambling to try to get a card before the EMT class starts. Let's see. One other question out there. Is the drug test cost separate or included with the class cost? So the drug test cost is embedded into the Castle Branch account. So when you set up your Castle Branch account, it's going to cost you $91, and that includes 3 things. It includes your drug test cost, the cost for your criminal background, and the cost for the document tracking system that you'll be uploading all your documents into. And not to go backwards to drug tests, but now since we're back on this topic, one thing I should mention happens on occasion. What happens if your drug test comes back positive? Well, does that mean that you can't get into EMT? Not necessarily. And here's what we'll do. We will make you an offer to retest and give you the benefit of the doubt and make sure that it wasn't a false positive. And if you choose to, at your expense, can retake the drug test. So that's how we've handled it in the past. And some students have elected to take the second test and they still failed, so that we told them, well, I'm sorry, you can't take the class right now. Whatever caused you to fail, you'll have to make some changes and come back in the future to a future class. Or if somebody passed the second time, then we'll allow them to stay in the class. And that's on the initial drug test to get into the class. This has nothing to do with the random drug testing. That's a separate situation. So hasn't really happened much. I'll tell you what I have seen happen is if somebody tested positive and I offered the second test, they've declined and they said, no, I don't think I'm going to pass it, but I'll just come back in 6 months or a year. I'm just not ready. And I say, okay, no harm, no foul, go take care of what you got to take care of. I wish you the best, and hopefully you can get things cleaned up and come back and see us, and I have seen people come back, but many have not. See, is there any other questions right now? Nothing else in the chat? Okay. So the CPR card that you're going to get is the only one that we accept for EMT. You'll earn an American Heart Association BLS CPR e-card. And the e-card is the important thing. We haven't for a number of years now given out paper cards anymore. They're an electronic card, right? So once you do everything that Chief Breakville asks you to, and he'll even ask you for an email address at some point when you're doing your skills on skills day, most likely. And I suggest that you use a personal email address and don't use your Rio Hondo College student email address, because once you're not a student here any longer, you probably won't use that email address, but you'll probably still have your personal email address. So because you're probably going to need to get your CPR card recertified every 2 years, because you're going to go into this line of work. And as long as you're in this line of work, you always have to have a valid CPR card. So you'll get that e-card to your email. He'll also give you some instructions on how to retrieve it. And then you're going to want to save that digital copy on your computer, right? Digitally, because it's a digital card. Now you do have the option to print it out too, which is great. I see some people print out the wallet size and get it laminated. But when you get to EMT and you're submitting your CPR card for approval, we're going to ask that you upload the full size PDF copy into your Castle Branch account. So now my suggestion is, when this class gets to the end and you finish your CPR skills and Chief Breakville has, you give him your email address and he's creating the spreadsheet to create the cards. Couple things. One, make sure that you're giving him the correct email address. If it's off by a dot or a dash or a letter or a number, it's not going to make it to you. The other thing is, find out when he's going to be creating the cards and getting those sent out, and watch your email address that you're providing him. And as soon as you see an email that comes from heart.org or AHA.org, open it, and you have to retrieve your e-card. So you have to answer a few questions, a little survey from the American Heart Association, and then bam, it pops up on your screen. That's when you should save the PDF copies, right? So save it digitally. The malpractice insurance, again, our clinical partners require that you carry it. It's good for 1 year. It's $23 right now, I believe. And it is a mandatory requirement for clinicals. Uniforms and equipment. So you'll be required to purchase the following before the first day of class. So the first day of class starts in uniform. And I'm also happy to report that for the first time in the year, the summer class is going to be the first EMT class where we're going back to 100% in-person attendance. We're not going to be using Zoom at all that I'm aware of, unless something changes with COVID statuses and numbers go back up, or if there's some kind of an outbreak. But we haven't had an outbreak yet, but We have had a few small incidences that have required us to go back to Zoom for a week or two while people were quarantining. But our plan right now, 100% attendance EMT in the summer. So if any of you are coming to the summer class, you should be happy about that. So our EMT uniform is a navy blue uniform pants, a specific brand and style, along with the white uniform shirt, both available from our supplier, Firefighter Safety Center in Santa Fe Springs. Now, the standard white uniform shirt is short sleeve. However, if you have tattoos that extend down below the bottom of your short sleeve shirt, then we require that you purchase the long sleeve uniform shirt. We don't allow people to wear a long sleeve t-shirt under a short sleeve uniform shirt, and we don't allow tattoo sleeves to be worn on the arms. So again, if you have the tattoos that extend below the bottom of your short sleeve shirt, then you have to buy the white uniform shirt long sleeve version. So that's why I always suggest students get over to the uniform shop early anyway, because sometimes they have supply issues from the manufacturer. So, and you're not just going to walk in there and get your uniform and you're not going to walk out of there with it the same day. And I'll tell you why. One is they've got to probably hem your pants. Two is your shirt. They've got to sew patches on it. They've got to embroider the Rio Hondo College logo on it and the words EMT trainee on the left front breast. And then on the right breast area, they put your last name. So you will not walk out of there the same day you go in to order and pay for it. So give yourself some time. Don't wait until the 2 days before class and be shocked when they say, sorry, it's going to be a week. The other thing is you'll need to have a black leather belt, smooth black leather belt, not basket weave, 1.5 to 2 inches tall, and then black boots that are able to take a shine. So we don't allow people to wear tennis shoes or dress shoes or anything that's absorbent. So the boots need to be black, and they need to be clean and able to take a shine. They don't have to be firefighter boots. They could be just EMS boots or some black uniform boots that they sell for $50 or $60 in the uniform shop, or you can go to Big Five or Walmart and buy a pair for 25 or 30 bucks. So save your money. You can wear the firefighter boots if you're going to go to the fire academy. You already have them. But if you don't have any boots, you do not have to spend $200 to $300 on a firefighter boot for EMT. No questions in the chat. Anybody have any questions? Some other equipment that you're going to need. Well, you'll have to wear a face mask because we're still going to be required to wear simple face masks. We don't allow gaiters. So those are those things that kind of wrap around your neck and you can pull up over your mouth and your nose, kind of like a scarf. But it has to be a simple face mask. It can be material or paper. You're going to need to buy a stethoscope, a pen light, and you don't need to buy the CPR pocket mask right now because we're still not doing any mouth to mask ventilations on the mannequins. So that you can put a temporary hold on. And again, we'll give you all the information, specifics, even way more specific than this, especially when it comes to uniforms, because it's got specific brand and model number on the pre-class task book for the shirt and the pants. You can't just wear any pair of pants. It has to be that uniform brand and style. They are the same pants that are used by the fire academy. So the advantage to us using the same pants as the fire academy is if you are somebody that's planning on the fire academy in your future, if you take good care of these pants, they can be a backup pair for you when you go to the fire academy. So FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has ICS courses, Incident Command System courses. And you'll be required to complete 3 of these FEMA ICS courses online before the first day of the EMT class that you're registered in. The following courses are required: ICS 100, 200, and 700. So once you're finished with each one, and each class takes you probably about an hour online, video, interactive, and a test at the end, multiple choice. And if you pass the test, then they'll email you a certificate. So that should happen 3 times for you. So plan on about 3 hours or so total for the 3 classes. Once you're done with those, you'll be required to upload each completion certificate into your Castle Branch account when you have that, once you're close to starting the class. Now, here's the good news. If part of any other class or your job, maybe you've taken an ICS 100, 200, or 700 class, and you have your certificate still, you don't have to retake the class. You can simply upload your certificate or your certificates if you have them all. I know some of the fire tech instructors, as part of their course requirements, might ask students to take certain ICS courses. So that's why I like to let you know about that. So you don't have to worry about asking that question later. You already know up front. The requirements of the class. So attendance is mandatory. There's a specific number of hours set by the state that this class is, because it does lead to a certification. So it's different than other classes on campus that have different attendance policies. And these we track closely by daily sign-in sheets and by having you sign in and sign out what time you get there and what time you leave. So, and then we tally up any absences. And if you miss past a certain number of hours, then we'll have to automatically drop you. Clinical requirements, the state sets a minimum of 24 hours. We've been doing a minimum of 40 to make sure that you get your minimum of 10 documented patient contacts. Especially during COVID, since we've had the ambulance company ride-alongs. During COVID, 911 calls went up and they went down, and they went up and they went down, and now they're back up again. During COVID, when we were going through the waves where the numbers were high and the hospitals were getting full, some people weren't calling as much because they were afraid to go to the hospital. So that had an impact on, if we were only sending you for a minimum of 24 hours, you may not have got those 10 patients to document. So we would have to schedule you for more. So everybody's been doing 4 ambulance ride-alongs, 10-hour shifts. So later this year, when we're able to, with the summer class, we should be able to start with putting some hospital shifts back into the mix. When you go to a shift at the hospital, they have tons of patients. So you should be able to get plenty of contacts at the hospital. It's the ambulance companies that you can't control how many calls you're sent on per day. Other requirements, we use an exam system, online exam system called FISDAP. You'll take 16 exams. That's a package that you'll buy. And then once you successfully complete the course and get a course completion certificate at the end, you'll take the National Registry exam. And then you're all great at using Canvas by now. You probably were before COVID, but you're probably even better at it now. We use Canvas with EMT, and we were using Canvas with EMT before COVID. It's always been a web enhanced class since I've been the director, because I believe in using that platform, because it's nice. I can send out announcements to the class. Students can communicate, with each other on the chat if you're all online at the same time. It's one place to go to for, certain assignments. So it's a great platform. So EMT course offerings, and this is going to change after the summer. So, because remember earlier I said EMT is going to go from 8 weeks to, 8 units to 9 units. Well, it's going to change some things. So first of all, this spring, we have 2 8-week classes. We finished one at the end of, or just before spring break. Then we just started one last week. So that's our second 8-week class of the spring. And we have one 16-week course running, which we call our night course. And that's what we have going this spring. What we have going this summer is one 8-week course that will meet Monday through Thursday. 8 to 2:25 is the revised time. So I know that says 8 to 2, but it's actually 8 to 2:25. So it's about a 6.5-hour day, 4 days a week this summer. Beginning in the fall of 2021, which is coming quickly, EMT, 2 things will change. EMT is going to be 9 units, which means the days are going to be 7.5 hours long. So that's an extra hour and a half per day. And we're only going to offer 8-week courses. We will not offer the 16-week night course, because with the 7.5 hours, that would make it for an extremely long night. And we've had problems with students passing those classes when they're so long and they go late into the night. So I just want to get that out there early so that everybody's aware of it. So summer is going to be our last of the current 8-unit, 8-week class. So starting in fall, an 8-week class is going to be 9 units. But the good thing is about that extra hour and a half is we're going to be able to do more teaching in person. You're going to get more hands-on time with skills learning, and therefore it's going to equal better results with skills testing. So you're going to walk out of here much better condition. So now I have to say I'm impressed with what we're doing during COVID, especially with our EMT program. With the first class that we graduated this year so far, 16 students graduated, and 14 of the 16 students took and passed the national registry on the first attempt. So, which is really outstanding. That puts us at 88% success as a program, when the national average right now is 69% across America. So what that tells me is that we've got motivated students that are here to learn and here to succeed. And it also tells me that we've got a great cadre of instructors, and we've got great equipment, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we set you up for success. But the most important thing is having a student that's highly motivated and dedicated with time and really putting in the effort, because there is no secret, there's no secret ingredient to EMT. It's all out there. It's open book in terms of, if you work hard and you're progressing through the class, it's going to pay you dividends, right? And the dividends will be you passing the national registry on your first attempt, and you moving forward to your next goal, which is certification, if that's it, and getting an EMT job, if that's your goal, or just to get certified and keep moving towards your getting into the fire academy, or getting your degree. And the other thing that we'll have in 2021/22 year is when you combine your EMR class that you're in right now with an EMT class, those 12 units combined together is going to create a certificate of achievement from the college, which is a nice extra certificate to have for resumes and for jobs. So you'll have a certificate of achievement in emergency medical services. Any questions out there? Anything in the chat? Okay, not seeing anything in the chat. So this thing I've been speaking of, I save it till the end to show it to you. This is what the front cover of the pre-class task book looks like. We just started class 100 2 weeks ago. So you can see that one says class 90, but the book numbers change each time, as does some of the contents. So if you've gotten a pre-class task book from a friend that took the class, or you're a returning student, it's going to be important to get the most up-to-date information that's in the pre-class task book for the class you're actually going to take. So again, once you're registered in EMT, the task book will be sent to your Rio Hondo College student email address only. I will not send them, and I don't send them to people's personal addresses. I need to be able to, send them to your student email, and you need to retrieve them from that, because all throughout the course, you and I are going to communicate by our college email accounts back and forth, right? So make sure you're aware of what your student email address is. You build it into your phone or your computer or your tablet, whatever you're using, and make sure you're checking it daily, right? Because during EMT, especially and leading up to EMT, you know, you and I might have to have a lot of conversations by email back and forth, so I can help you. You know, I can help guide you with the pre-class task book and getting your tasks done before the first day. You know, and I'm here to help you, but you have to engage by checking your email and using your Rio Hondo College student email. So about 4 to 5 weeks before the EMT class begins, I will send this task book out to all the students that are registered at that moment. And the reason why I say this is at that moment is because what happens sometimes is a student or two might drop after that moment, and another student might go, oh, hey, there's an opening. I registered, I'm in. And then they wait and they wait. And the first day comes and they never emailed me and said, hey, Chief Jaggy, I got into EMT because someone dropped. Can you send me the pre-class task book? Instead, they remain quiet. And you know how I know on the first day? When everybody in the class, except for that person's dressed in a uniform with a short haircut and their hair is up tight in a bun. And that person's there in shorts and a t-shirt. And I go, oh, what happened? And they go, oh, am I supposed to do things before class starts? And I go, yep, you are. And so then what happens is we typically have to drop that person and they have to come back in a future class. So don't let that happen to you. Communicate with me. I'm here. Chief Brakebill could tell you, you know, he and I constantly, you know, text, talk, email one another, you know, on a professional level with, you know, things about our classes. And I'll get back to you quick because you're important to me, right? I take ownership in this program, and you know, I take ownership in your success as long as you're coming forward and engaging. You know, you have to engage, you have to do the work, but I'm here for you. And you can talk to any of my past students and they'll tell you, you know, oh yeah, Chief Jaggy, he must just stay up 24 hours a day and look at emails because he answers pretty quick most of the time. So I do take a little time off though. So my wife yells at me and says, put that phone down, right? So, and then I do, I listen. So, okay, so back to the book. So if you register late, again, please email me directly as soon as possible and say, you know, hey, Chief Jaggy, just want to let you know, here's my name, here's my student ID, and I just registered in the summer EMT class. Or in the fall, tell me which CRN. It's always good to let me know which CRN, because, you know, I'll look it up and then I'll say, okay, they need this task book, and boom, I'll email it back to you and all the important information. So you don't have to go this alone. If you have questions, right, once you get your task book, you know, email me. You know, better to ask the question and be sure than to wonder and go, ooh, because you can't get the time back. I know Chief Brakebill's big on this, and I've you know, asked him if it's okay if I use his phrase in my classes, and he says yes, it's okay. You know, make sure you manage time. Don't let time manage you, right? Once the time passes, you cannot get it back. So, you know, manage it well, and you'll do well in the class. And remember, again, those tasks in this book, you have to get these tasks done before the first day of class. They can't linger, because in an 8-week class that's highly accelerated, right? 9 units in 8 weeks. That's a lot of work. That's scary sound to me. It's a nice amount of units to get, but wow, I got to work really hard. What that tells me is you've got to work really hard in 8 weeks to get 9 units. So once again, remember, each class has its own specific task book. So if you have a past classes book, if you were a past student, or you got a book from a friend because you thought, oh, hey, I'm going to get a jump and get a quick start, make sure you get with me and get the book for the class you're registered in. So I don't want you to buy the wrong thing or get off to the wrong start. one more time, I'm sure you're doing it, especially with Zoom and with Chief Breakbill. But the Rio Hondo College student email is the one that you should use to communicate with me. It won't get put into junk or a spam folder, be in danger of me missing it. So make sure you're using that, please. And once again, make sure those tasks are completed before the first day of class, or you may have to be dropped from the class and come to a future one. And then that's going to slow you down, or it could throw a wrench in your education plan, or it could be the difference between you going to the fire academy in the fall or next year in 2022. So, communicate, work hard. And like I mentioned earlier, once you pass the NREMT exam after you pass our course and you become state certified, you're eligible for employment. And there's plenty of opportunities for full or part-time employment with ambulance companies, our partners, ambulance companies in the region here. So we partner with CARE and Lifeline for ride-alongs. However, Liberty and RSI, AmbuServe, Medic One, they're all right here in our region, and those are good companies, and we work with them as well with job placement. And there's different reasons why students go to work for the different companies. Maybe they don't want full-time job because they want to keep moving with their education, but they do want to get experience and they want to work part-time. So CARE only offers full-time work. Lifeline offers full or part-time. Liberty and the others below, RSI and their group, offer full or part-time. And then you could work in a hospital as an EMT. They call them hospital emergency room technicians. And a lot of times they also have to get a separate class after EMT called phlebotomy, where they can draw bloods for blood tests. So that's another route you can go. It's another great route. We have several students that have gone that route and they're still working in the hospital. They love it. They love it. All right, so just to kind of recap here, the important takeaways. So, watch your background, watch any drug or alcohol use. If you don't have any of those issues, don't develop them before you come to EMT. If you're using something, for your own benefit, not just for EMT, but more so for you as a person, work on that, and get yourself on the road to recovery, is what I say. Again, the cost of the class, about $1,400 to get in. And once you're registered in the EMT class, make sure you're checking your student email account daily, because that pre-task class book is going to come out 4 or 5 weeks before class. And sometimes I even send it out a little earlier, like for the summer. Class starts on June 21st. If I have it ready 6 weeks before, I'll send it out 6 weeks before. I don't hold it on purpose. If I can get it into your hands sooner, that helps you become more successful, and it goes much smoother for you and me, because that gives you an extra week to get your tasks done. So the semester ends on May 27th, and then this class starts on June 21st. So, there's going to be 3 weeks without school getting in your way to work on tasks. But if I can get it out 6 weeks before, better for you to start getting your physical done, get your uniform ordered, things like that. So again, and then make sure you get those tasks completed before that first day of class. So with that, I will open it up to any questions, and I will turn off the screen sharing. So it looks like we have 14 people in attendance. That's a good number. 14 students. Is that what you have tonight, Chief Breakbill?
Yes, that's what I have.
Great. Well, hopefully the ones that weren't able to attend this evening because of work, they'll get a chance to listen to the recording. And then they'll also get a chance to maybe with when you send out the recording, Chief, you can encourage them to reach out to me by an email.
I will.
And just say, hey, I missed the meeting, and I'm more than happy if they ever want to do a Zoom meeting. And this goes for all of you too. If you have questions between now and when you get in, you know, send me an email, ask me your questions, and if I can answer them, I will. But if you want to have a Zoom, I already saw somebody in the chat that said they wanted to have a Zoom. So if you do want to have a Zoom, just send me an email. You have my address now, and let me know your name and what class you're in and what class you're wanting to take, and we'll set up a Zoom, even if it's going to be 5 or 10 minutes, right? We'll set it up, and I'll work with you on, you know, setting it up on whatever day of the week works for you and your schedule. So again, I'm here. I'm committed to your success, like Chief Breakbill is. He's going to get you through this, and I'll tell you, in his class, really spend a lot of time, as much as you can, with the hands-on, and even outside of class. Push yourself. Get really good at vital signs. Get really good at those. That's the cornerstone of being any type of a good practitioner, because without good vital signs and good patient assessment skills, so that primary survey, that patient assessment, collecting the vital signs, asking the right questions, getting the chief complaint, you know, asking the patient, you know, why did you call 911 today, and listening to them. Good listening skills. And you have a lot of good technology, right? I encourage EMT students, and I'll encourage you to do the same thing. Preparing is record yourself. Most of you probably have smartphones with recording devices, video, audio. Put your phone on the table there and act like you're walking into the scene of something, and out loud, just start going right through your pen man, right? I've got my PPE on. Considering my safety, my partner's safety, the patient's safety. I'm checking the environment. I'm looking for hazards, right? I'm just sitting here in my office, right at home, talking to you, but I'm saying out loud all the things that I would be doing and looking for if I was really on a scene. And the more you say it out loud and practice it, the more automatic it's going to be in your brain. Because when I go on a call in real life, right, I don't say all those things out loud, but those are the things that I'm actually doing and looking for those reasons, because I do want to protect myself and my partner and my patient, right? And I do want to make sure I have my PPE on, and I do want to see hazards, right? So, but right now, when you're new at this, and you've got to develop these skills. Remember, I've done this the more years that I've been alive. I've been doing assessments than I haven't, because I started doing this when I was 16 as a fire explorer in Uptown Whittier, Fire Station 28. Very proud of that, my history, right, in this profession. And I was learning. I took EMT when I was my last semester in high school, because I turned 18. And you know, you can be that person too. You know, we all, you know, walk a different walk. And even if you weren't an explorer, that's fine, right? But my point is, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. It's just ingrained in me. I know it just like I know my own name, right? It's second nature, but it didn't come easy, right? It took hard work. It took commitment. And I know all of you, if you're here tonight, you're committed, right? Because, you know, Chief Brickville put out the word, hey, we're having class 7 o'clock Tuesday night, and boom, here you are. So you'll get there, and you'll get there in less time than you think if you commit to it now. So with that, it's been a pleasure to meet you all and to answer your questions. If you want to have a Zoom for whatever reason, just email me and we'll set something up. Or if you just have questions, email me and I'll answer, right? So Chief Breakbill, thanks for having me into your class.
Not a problem.
It's always a privilege to come in and take some of your time.
Not
I
a problem.
appreciate it.
I do want to remind the class, don't forget this coming Saturday, we're going to hit patient assessment, the first part of the day, and then we're going to do the Jeopardy game on airway management, vital signs, and patient assessment, and we'll see who the 5 top dogs are in the class, okay, after we play the Jeopardy game. So if you have any questions, I'm going to post this recording along with the PowerPoints on the course announcements. I'll have that up tomorrow. And I'll see you all Saturday morning in classrooms 4 and 5 at 9 o'clock. If you have any questions between now and then, you can email me. I'll also post Chief Jaggy's Rio Hondo email as well. I want to thank you all for participating. And I look forward to having a great time and a great game this Saturday on patient assessments. All right, thank you so much. This concludes our class meeting for tonight.
Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Have a good
thanks.
evening.
Good night.